Hi, I'm Tony Yazbeck. I play Al in a chorus line. I was born in Riverside, California, and we just jumped around a lot. So I went to Pennsylvania when I was 4 years old, and I moved to Florida for the rest of my high school years, and then college up north again. I first started dancing when I was 4 years old. I basically saw Fred Astaire on the TV. But I remember just being in this living room of my townhouse apartment and just pointing to the screen and saying, basically my mom was like, I think he needs to do that. So she just put me in class when I was 4 and started tap dancing. When I was a kid, it was really just, I was a dancer, and I was in all those stupid dance competitions, and it was like Junior Mr. Dance of New York and Junior Mr. Dance of Pennsylvania and Jersey, and if you weren't first, then you were second, and that wasn't good enough. And one of the numbers I had performed, I was in this blue like unitard costume or something with my tap shoes on, and I actually performed to I Can Do That. I always remember that. I think it was Sammy Davis Jr. singing I Can Do That. My mother, she's like my best friend, and she's amazing, but she definitely was a stage mother back then too, and I don't blame her. She'd push me to do everything. Her rule, because we didn't have much money when I was a kid, was for every class that I took that week, I had to practice a half hour a day. So I had 5 classes, that's 2.5 hours a day. And if I didn't do that, she took away a class, and that freaked me out. So I was down there like 5 in the morning before school just practicing. And she stamped her foot, she was always at every competition, every recital, just rooting. I'll never forget, she would stand there and just be like, yeah, every day. And it was kind of embarrassing, but I realized, like, this is the person that is pushing me to do what I know that I want to do. And maybe I didn't have as much drive as a kid to see that that's what it needed, but she did. I had this manager, this crazy woman, I don't even know who she is anymore, this crazy woman in Pennsylvania, and she just saw me on stage, and she was like, I know someone in New York, and she directed me to New York to some artist or some artist agency in New York. I don't remember who they are now, and it was my first audition. They sent me in for a replacement for one of the newsboys and to play the clarinet. So I had to tap dance, I had to sing, and I had to play the clarinet. And I went in, and there were like 200 boys there at the St. James Theater. And Stuart Howard pulls me aside. He says, "You got the job. You got to start in 3 days." And it just freaked me out. It was a new stage of my life. So I made my Broadway debut when I was 11 years old with Gypsy with Tyne Daly in 1990. What was great was my mom and my dad were both there, and because they had gotten divorced when I was 6. And it was kind of like one of the only times I'd really seen them together. They came up for me to New York, and they were both in the room when I got the job offer, and we all just jumped real high and celebrated. And I always remember that. We were in the wardrobe room, and Stuart Howard took us aside. He's like, "Don't tell anyone, but you got the job." And we all just freaked out, knowing that something was about to happen to me. It was really great. I had a couple of people I really looked up to. I remember back then. The guy who played Tulsa, his name is Bob Lambert, and he's now a casting director for All My Children, and he was just incredible to me. I watched him on stage a lot, and I remember just thinking, wow, you're so smooth. You're like the song and dance man I want to be. One day, and like that Fred Astaire, that Gene Kelly type that I've always dreamed of being, and watching that, and then watching watching Tyne Daly sing Some People, backstage, every other night, whenever it was, and I'd watch her and I'd just be like, wow, what passion on that woman to do what she does. And then you realize, there's more to life than just, going to dance class. There's something to be given on stage, and this is what I'd learned, I think, being there, is I really want to give something. I don't want to just practice my dance and do a dance for a trophy. I want to give something to these people, and that's what they were doing. I think that's what I learned most and I was so young learning it, but I think it really benefited me just to watch these people. I remember telling my mother I didn't want to be one of those child stars on the Broadway biz. I wanted to go, play soccer and go to Little League and, be a kid for a while. I still took dance, and I still did all the plays and musicals in school, but it wasn't until I was like 16, 17 where I started to really get serious again. I went to Cincinnati Conservatory for a year, and kind of had a different experience there, but we all have different experiences in schools, and I learned some great things there too. But I got miserable all at once, and I left a year after I was there. and I had $100 in my pocket. I'll never forget it. I had $100 in my pocket, and I said, I just got to go to New York. I got to go to New York. I remember asking the chairman of the school, I said, do I need this degree? And he said, point blank, he said, no, you don't. And I said, what? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I did not, I mean, this guy's telling me, he's the one that brought me to the school, and he said, I don't need this degree. Okay, so I left, and I really didn't have a plan. I just had my faith, and I thought, God, I need a job. I need to work, and I need a place to stay. So awesome how things happen, but I have $100 in my pocket. I go to New York. I stay on a woman's couch who is actually an alumni of my high school, and I walk in her door, and she says to me, hey, have you been seen for this tour, for Annie Get Your Gun, for this tour, you know? And I was like, what? And she said, well, I'm an agent, and I'd like to submit you for this show. And I was like, oh, okay. You're an agent? Wow, all right. Nobody told me that one. So I go in for the show, and I book it, and I start rehearsals the next week. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know, sometimes I don't know, it all hit me all at once, you know. It's like sometimes when you know you got to do something, you just got to do it, no matter how tough or hard or how many people say, you know, you're wrong for doing it. And I remember that year I was on tour, and, you know, I got to pay all my student loans back and have enough money to come back and get an apartment and stuff, and it was just, that was the beginning of me working in New York.
I really couldn't sing. I could never really sing. What I couldn't do was sing. I have trouble with it. It goes all around my throat. It's a terrifying thing. See, I really couldn't hear which note was lower or was higher. Which is why I disappear if someone says, let's start a choir. Hey, when I begin to shriek, it's a cross between a squeak and a quiver or a moan. It's a little like a croak or the record player. Croak. What it doesn't have is tone.
I had seen the show in college and a couple different places, and I wasn't sure exactly what part I was going to play at all. And, you know, walking in there, I was seen for Mike, and then I was seen for Al, and I didn't even really know these parts well enough. I knew kind of what they sang, but that was it. And but just going in there and having them like really believe in me, that was just so special for me. Finally, I could show myself these people, and they really believed me. What's so great is, you know, he can just be there for his wife and support her, and she can be a nutball after a while, but she's just so lovely, and she's beautiful, and, you know, he sees the great in her. Even if she gets fidgety and nervous, you know, he just sees all the things that are lovely about her, and he's kind of like the emotional support and you know, the base for her. And that's what I love being, you know, because I kind of like doing that in real life with just my friends. You know, I like to just be there for them, and if they need a helping hand, I'm always there for them. And that's kind of Al in a nutshell. He's like this really cool guy from the Bronx who really, really loves his wife. I am sort of very proud to be part of this big community of people, you know, because I guess I'm one of them now. I don't know. It's really weird because I always look up to so many people. You know, I want to know what that's like to be on stage like them or whatever. And now that I get to kind of be a part of it, it's just it's neat. It's pretty neat.